Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for African News with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, a South African judge clears a British millionaire for the honeymoon murder of his new bride. Shrien Dewani is acquitted because of shaky state evidence, and the police's handling of the investigation's also been called into question. The top opposition party in DR Congo expels its leader for joining the long-awaited unity government. We hear from our correspondent in Kinshasa on whether this is a win for Congo or more for President Kabila's political prospects. And a former UN spokesperson is in New York asking for an investigation into her accusations that the organization deliberately covered up attacks on civilians in Darfur. Aisha El-Basri tells us what made her turn whistleblower. First up, in South Africa, British millionaire Shrien Dewani has been cleared of killing his wife in the high-profile Honeymoon murder case. Prosecutors spent 4 years fighting for his extradition so he could stand trial. But on Monday, the judge warned that the state's evidence was poor. The police's handling of the investigation has also been called into question. Nicolas Chemin has more.
After Shrien Dewani was cleared of murder, the family of his late wife spoke to the press outside the courthouse. They said they were devastated as they would never hear her husband's full story.
The knowledge of not ever knowing what happened to my dearest little sister on the 13th of November 2010, that's going to haunt me, my family, my brother, my parents, for the rest of our lives.
The judge said there was not enough evidence to show Dewani had hired hitmen to kill his wife. Arnie Dewani was shot dead 4 years ago in a hijacking in Cape Town during the couple's honeymoon. The case is a severe setback for the reputation of South Africa's state prosecutors, who explained why they couldn't now appeal.
We can only appeal as the state on a question of law. And as you were in court, you heard that this was not a question of law. It was all a question of fact, the fact that the witnesses contradicted themselves and that they gave inconsistent evidence.
The main problem for the prosecutors was indeed that the witnesses' testimonies were very confused. They made many factual mistakes. One of them even admitted lying to a previous court hearing. On top of that, police pocketbooks were lost, a witness statement was taken unsigned, and a legally binding sworn testimony was falsified. This case is bad news for South Africa's state prosecutors, as they had already failed to secure a murder conviction in another high-profile court case against Paralympic sprinter Oscar Pistorius in October.
In Democratic Republic of Congo, over 13 months after President Joseph Kabila said that there would be a national unity government, it's finally here. Well, the move brings opposition members into the fold, but mainly empowers those who are close to the president. The participation of some has cost them support of former colleagues. The leader of the opposition MLC and 2 other officials have been expelled from the party. Elisa Westerhoff brings us more from Kinshasa.
This new government will still be headed by the same prime minister, but it clearly appears to be in the order of battle for the next elections. 47 ministers in total are among the new team, but those who are close to the Congolese president have the key ministries. For example, the head of the presidential party, Évariste Bochab, is now the new Minister of Interior. Among his responsibilities, he will have to organize the upcoming elections in 2016. A crucial responsibility, even more a possible signal, if you consider that he's one of the strongest defenders of a reform of the constitution, of a third term for the President Kabila. In this new government, the Kabila clan is also in control of the army, the finances, and the relations with the parliament. But officially, this government of national cohesion was supposed to bring together the opposition and the ruling coalition. But all in all, according to the 3 main opposition parties, none of those who have accepted to participate in this government are credible members of the opposition. The opposition is actually accusing the ruling party to have paid for their participation in a new attempt to divide a bit more the opposition in the country.
Elisa Westerhoff there for us in Kinshasa. Well, Sierra Leone's overtaken Liberia as the country with the highest number of Ebola cases. Along with Guinea, the 3 countries have been at the heart of the West African epidemic that's claimed at least 6,300 lives. of the total number of official cases logged. In the trio of affected nations, Sierra Leone's seen 7,798. Experts fear that the true death toll may be far higher than reported. Now, a former spokesperson for the UN's mission in Darfur is calling for an inquiry into her allegations that United Nations officials are deliberately covering up what she's called a horrible war on civilians. Aisha El-Basri left her post last year and became a whistleblower after becoming convinced that the UN's repeatedly covered up the murder of civilians in Darfur by Sudanese forces. Well, she's currently in New York to ask for an international commission of inquiry under the Security Council Commission. Our Jessica Le Mesurier spoke to her about her claims.
I witnessed several cases of systematic and repeated deliberate cover-up of crimes committed by the government of Sudan against civilians, in some instances right in front of UNAMID troops. I raised the issue during my 8 months in Darfur with the mission. I was told not to worry much about and keep quiet, basically, and repeat the line that was given by my supervisors. I refused to do so. By April 2013. I resigned and decided to take the matter to the UN. I wanted the UN to investigate. After a couple of months, I waited. The UN declined my request to investigate, so I had no other option but to expose the whole cover-up, systematic and deliberate cover-up, to the international community.
Why would the United Nations want to cover up civilian deaths in Darfur?
There are many reasons. One of the reasons is that the UN had failed in Darfur. They didn't want to acknowledge it, and they wanted rather cut down the mission and prepare the exit strategy in order to avoid admitting that Darfur, or the UN mission in Darfur, is probably the biggest failure of the UN peacekeeping operations.
Can you just explain for our viewers what is at stake here?
What is at stake is not only the truth about the crimes committed by the Sudanese government against the civilians and also blue helmets, but also about the fact that now the Sudanese government and Russia are calling on this mission to leave, while the civilians, millions of civilians, are left abandoned. They're under bombardments, extremely tough conditions, and atrocities ongoing by the day.
Can you explain to us whose interests are at play here?
We have here 2 members of the Security Council members, namely China and Russia, that are violating the arms embargo of the Security Council and that are supporting an ICC-indicted government and that are supporting the exit of a mission that the entire world wanted to be there to protect the civilians. And every single aspect of the truth has been covered up so that the government of Sudan gets away with its murder and mass atrocities.
Aisha El-Basri there speaking to our Jessica Le Mesurier. Well, China is currently the African continent's largest trading partner in a relationship that's going from strength to strength. It's not, though, without its detractors. And critics fear that a neo-colonialist relationship is developing. Well, hoping to take the wind out of the skeptics' sails, the Eastern superpowers cracked up its PR machine. Take a look.
You can make money from...
This is a business law lesson. The teacher is Chinese, and so are many of the students. But among them is Sandrine from Burundi, who is 26 years old. Her enrollment and housing are provided by the Chinese government. Beijing granted 18,000 African students just like her scholarships over the last 2 years. Sandrine hasn't graduated yet, but she already loves China.
On the one hand, you have the highly developed China, the China that's growing quickly and is much more developed than Africa. On the other hand, you have the China that's underdeveloped, and these two sides function side by side. China is definitely a role model for development for Africa.
China pays close attention to its image in Africa, and it is winning over the African press as well. The Chinese government is offering a 1-year stay to 10 African reporters. They rent this office for free and are sent on trips throughout the country. China is presenting a welcoming image to these African journalists.
I was there, in Yunnan province. We are starting to discover China for ourselves and are encouraging our African brothers to do the same. It's incredible.
This journalist is returning home to Cameroon in a few days. He will bring back souvenirs and, most of all, a genuine admiration for the Middle Kingdom.
I've lived here for a year and I've never been bothered by the police. No one has ever checked my documents. It's not like in the West where you can be stopped 4 times in one day.
The Chinese campaign to win hearts and minds in Africa will continue next year. A dozen more African reporters will arrive in January.
That's it for African News for now.